that center about? What is it about? It's one of the collation centers.
Yes, it is. It is the collation center for Oedo local government. Ordinarily, it ought to be the Uroputa Hall, but you know, it was gutted by fire some time ago, and so they were brought here. And now, very quickly, I'll be showing you to some persons. I'm sure you'll be seeing them very quickly now. They are actually collecting results that came from Ward 9. Yes, you've seen INEC officials here.
Okay. And
I can tell you that you can only see party agents who are monitoring the exercise very closely.
Okay.
Before I came here, I went to Ward 2, Georgina. Ward 2 unit results, they are collecting them. As soon as they are done with the collation of Ward 2 results, they'll definitely be heading to Uropota, or where I am right now.
Okay.
And of course, you can also see some other persons who are equally waiting over there. Yes, they are few at the moment, but after you all, there are quite a number of persons who are outside. They are waiting for people to bring in their results from the various wards to this center, which is Obakeza Cultural Center, for the collation of 12 ward results. In Oredo, as you are aware, Oredo, they have 12 wards, and so that's how we are now. And right now, with me here is the chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Oduwa Binosun, who is also the collating agent for the People's Democratic Party for this local government. While during the election voting period, we actually saw him in one of those units. And I saw him here now, and I was asking, he said he is a party agent. He's also the local government party chairman of the People's Democratic Party. I'm sure you would like to talk to him. Yeah.
Yes, it would be nice to talk with him briefly. Mr. Igbonosun, thank you for joining us on the live studios of ITV Radio on Edo Decides. Give us your perspective of the mood at this particular collation center. What is the mood like?
Yeah, the mood is very fine. The security apparatus, they are their best, and all logistic, they are all in top jar. At the moment, we are collecting the results from Ward 9, and everywhere is very smooth. We're waiting for other results. We just learned that 11 results, they just came in, but we're expecting it on our table any moment from now.
Okay. Are there provisions for backup for light in case of any eventuality, just to ensure that there's proper illumination of the entire environment, both in and out?
Oh, of course. There is a backup for electricity in case of power failure. There is.
Okay. Now, if you say you are now collecting the results for I think you said unit 9 or so.
Ward 9.
Ward 9, okay. So that means you would have started from Ward 1 up to Ward 9. You still have about 3 wards to go.
No.
Okay.
The first ward to have submitted for us is Ward 9.
Okay.
So we are still awaiting other 11 ward results
to come
for collation.
Okay. Fantastic. Do you have an idea how long this will take? Do you have an idea how long this will take, Mr. Igbonosun?
Thank you so much.
Anyway, thank you very much. We appreciate you for responding to this interactive session. Just to give you live update at the Obakeza Cultural Center, the Collation Center for Oredo, where Best Bureau is giving us a live update. Best, is there anything you want to share with us before we let you go?
Yes, I'm sure that while the program will last right there in the studios, I am very sure that those who are glued to their television set to know the updates will actually be looking forward to getting more updates. And I can assure you, Sunny Jukoko, soon that the team of independent television and radio who are on ground will be going around to other centers where similar exercise is taking place, and we'll be joining you back in the studio to give you more updates.
Thank you, Best Mbere. We appreciate you. Thank you. I will keep tabs with you to get further updates in the course of this live broadcast. We appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, best bury there. We hope others who are also monitoring the situation with other collection centers will feed in just to ensure that we keep you up to speed with the coverage of EDO 2020. We promise there's going to be 24 hours from now on till when the election results are declared by INEC. Prof, once again, thank you for coming. Yeah, let's go back to the studio.
Yeah.
I looked at the number of candidates for this election, 14 in all.
Yeah.
13 males and 1 female.
Yes.
Isn't that progress?
Progress.
In terms of women participation?
I think I'm not sure there was actually straight female for the governorship position.
Okay.
It was more of deputy.
Okay.
If I'm not
No, there was a
female.
A female, yes. NP or NNP, I can't remember.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. What is obvious here? I would say my sisters don't cry. They are not alone. Many of us are almost in their shoes. Politics, we also have done papers, a good number of papers through LAPO and all on women's role in politics. Published and all of that. In our country, in our climate, it's not an easy terrain for so many people. I want to salute the courage of those that are there. Because we are here now looking and trying to analyze what has transpired in this last few weeks or months concerning these elections. Some families, they have not known sleep since this whole thing started. As we speak now, the future is hanging on precariously in terms of where are we going. Just before we came in here, is that you know that one of the things that came with this particular election in our state, political realignment and people repositioning themselves. These are decisions that some people have taken now that can change their lives positively or negatively for life.
Yeah.
So that there are not so many women involved is for us to say, who are those main gladiators in our current political system? And when I was saying just now, women, don't we are together, is that you take us, the constituency from which I'm coming, the academia, the university system, and you check professors, the political pundits that come and do analysis and all. Sometimes you say, where are they in the field? And even when they dare come out, we have been in this stage. Remember not too long ago, one or two of my colleagues decided to even run, to be recognized by their party. Is that how? It's almost the same thing that is happening with the females. And that is that there are many variables that come into play when it comes to this kind of terrain. But the good news is that the women professionals are excelling and registering their positions. And which will mean that in due course and with time, I believe they are also going to storm the political terrain. Why am I saying so? Until recently, in the academic world, it was almost Professor this and Mrs. this. But what are we having now in this system? Professor and Professor, Mrs.
Yeah.
And women are now asserting themselves. And my great University of Benin, for example, today, is a lady that is the Vice Chancellor.
Vice Chancellor. And then
Calabar just got another.
Yeah.
And then just this week that just passed, there was a list of great women Vice Chancellors that are making waves. Not that these are not quota system women Vice Chancellors. People that of their own capacity and accomplishment have come out greatly to excel. So I believe that in due course, women will also be able to get recognition as far as the political terrain is concerned. But for now, as long as the system remains violent, as long as there is so much betrayal and sometimes underhand games going on, as long as meetings are nocturnal, as long as we believe that the patriarchal system for quite some time will still have to be in place. For now, it may not be easy. But then the good news, like I have said, is that in most other fields, women are already making it. And in addition to that, is that the global system, looking beyond our shores, is showing that the Thatchers, the Merkel, and others in other parts of the world, women, as we speak today, are registering their presence. And it should be a stepping stone for an encouragement to our own people to start moving. Now look at it. Edo State, not too long ago, we're having some women in the House of Assembly and all. Today, what is happening? We even had a senator, a third one. Remember, we're one of the first states to have a female senator and all of that. What is happening? So there is a need to now start talking about the empowerment. Yeah. One of the great things that could change the narrative from what we have seen is political appointments for women. It may not be elective position, because there are two different things. Political appointments give them sometimes the opportunities to excel, and that is actually what is going on. It is through political appointments sometimes that people carve a niche for themselves.
Yeah, they
and then you and then people
to position themselves.
You.
Yeah.
But otherwise, that is why there is humility when you are blessed to be singled out. Because it's like, who am I? When there are so many others, so eminently qualified. So as far as this election is concerned, in terms of progress for women and all, one thing that has happened, ordinarily, studies have shown that in the environment, women constitute a very strong percentage of the electorate in terms of voting. Yeah. But studies have also shown that sometimes women are not the best friends of women. Please, women, pardon me on this matter. And that is for various reasons. There is something almost innate in their disposition
towards other fellow women
and all of that. But let them, and one way you can reposition yourself, if as a woman in your growth, your career, you patronize fellow women, you take care of their needs and many, I'm sure they will connect with you. It's not that when you go there, you start trying to be like the tomboy and forget your principal constituency, that of being a female.
All right, let me just take this message from Sonny Igadusa from Airport Road. You said there was no enforcement of face masks or social distance, especially party agents who were zealously convincing voters to vote their candidate. The painful part for me is that the police officers are not doing anything about that. Okay. All that has been overtaken by events now.
And like I said today,
yes.
It's like you that is complaining. Yeah. I hope you try to protect yourself.
That is and didn't get carried away with the back of the effect.
That people are not obeying. Yes. Because you won't expect them to start arresting people for not wearing face masks. You find that most times it's persuasion that you're trying to really use to get people to.
Yeah, and I remember in some of our conversations leading to the election, someone said, I mean, even the INEC officials and the security, they should be a bit careful how they deal with this issue of not wearing face masks. It could just be a trigger for violence and stuff like that. But somehow, I think they've handled it well. We've not really heard of any out-of violence, as an offshoot of not wearing face masks. But ideally, you wear the face mask to protect yourself first before the other person will kill you. All right, Prof. Another major issue that came out very strongly in this election is the issue of vote buying. I won't be surprised to hear that you've done a whole lot of research work and published a whole lot of studies on that. Vote buying also became a very major issue, in this election. I mean, I saw some videos. In Uromi, there was a video of two guys that were arrested with large amounts of money, sums of money, and then there was a lady somewhere around the Iyaru, I think maybe Minister of Education or so, who the people have to drive out of the voting. So vote buying was a major issue in this election. Prof.
There was because this is not a new thing for us.
Yes.
I remember that some time ago, I called it the democratization of money sharing in Nigeria. and I was thinking from my studies before now that in the United States in those days, on days of election, especially as the democracy was growing, it was a period of kind of celebration. And things were done by way of trying to mobilize people to come out to vote. And that was a barbecue, things of that nature. Things were being provided around.
Just to attract people,
to come out
and vote.
And then, talking of the historical evolution, as far as our country is concerned, it was bag of salt, things that before the night of a preceding election, they bring for the entire community to share before elections. And then, what do we have? What has become almost monetization.
The democratization
of monetization. Of trying to mobilize people to come and participate in elections. It is condemnable. It's not the best, ideally, for you to give money to somebody to vote. But there is a delicate point here. Sorry.
Yes.
And what is that delicate point? Is that there has always been a question of who is not involved in Nigeria in this process of trying to induce people to vote for them. That inducement is what we are calling the buying. For me, it is not the best. It's demeaning that out of your deep convictions, you now get to a polling booth, and because you have been offered small amount of money, or you have all the convictions you had before, you throw it overboard.
Yeah.
But you know what that is telling us? Is that the event of today is still replicating what is happening in our wider society. And what are we saying about wider society? It is still the system where, for example, somebody is supposed to do something, but as a result of one level of inducement or the other, the person goes against a clear position, a clear principle, and does the opposite. And so what are we now facing? Sometimes we say, it depends on your level. And that is where analysts, we say, for a common 500 naira, common 1,000 naira, you are selling your goods. But for the person that you are saying it is common,
Means so much.
you may not know where the person is coming from. And from what we heard today, it was at the stake sometimes was in the region of 3,000 to 5,000 naira. And the lighting community now, do you know that even among those educated, some were beginning to say, I can use 5,000 for 1 month subscription of my internet. And then the other angle that comes with this issue of money.
Yeah.
Because you are correct. I think it was in 1993 I did a paper on money and politics. I know United States Nigeria compared, American States Association Conference. Is that when it now comes to this issue, so we say, I will take the money and still vote my conscience. And there were allegations on that.
Yeah.
Because in certain areas, based on the allegations they have been making about money that people collected, you would have almost written the result already. But the results that seem to be coming out are contradicting some of the permutations.
Yeah.
That because people collected money, they were bound to vote along a particular line. By way of summation, sorry, is that we condemn it. It's embarrassing for us as a people. It looks wrong that after all that you are saying, you are mortgaging your conscience, mortgaging your future and all of that, But sometimes, is it not possible that we talk of coincidence, of expectation of your decision and the money you are collecting?
Yeah.
And why do I say coincidence? Assuming I was going to vote for the Zenith Party, ZPL, and then I came to the polling booth, the ZPL people decided to give me 5,000 for coming, and I still collect and I still vote. It's a kind of hypothetical case.
Yeah.
Is it that really that you bought my vote?
When already I made up my
mind that that's where I was going
to vote.
Because it becomes difficult.
Yeah.
To really know where some of these people were going.
Yeah. Yeah.
So because there are party faithfuls, those are already committed. So my own concern is that today, for whatever reasons, people decided to cast their vote for any of the main contestants or any of the people that was involved, please count them and let us know. Because do you know that when we look at the factors that determine where people vote, some are so mundane,
very,
and almost inconsequential, to the extent that a good-looking person like myself, I thank God for it, with all humility, they will just say, that guy, he speaks so well, he looks so good,
yes.
I'm going to vote for him.
Yes, that's all.
That's all.
That's what is required.
Then the other one comes to primordial consideration.
Yes.
This person is from my location, and whether he's a good person or not, we go for the person. And that is, do you know that most of the elections in our country, talking of ethnicity and politics,
those are the major.
Those are some of the issues that religious affiliation. But you know, one of the things that came out in this election, it's interesting how the parties, the main contenders, pick their candidates. I'm just a little digression.
Yeah, I understand.
Which is that you will now say, ordinarily before, it will be like, oh, Benin against Esan,
yeah,
or this one against
Afema.
That is not the case. The two main guys were here.
Absolutely.
What happened to the deputies? The two main deputies were from the same location. The only factor that was to now come up was almost the religious thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, one is Muslim and all of that. But our people, especially in Edo State, they are not so religiously fasting that it will now, I think, become a deciding factor.
Yeah.
And one item I will advise that you look at later, this Edo State election today was now almost a mini Nigeria election.
Yeah.
Governors
from across the
federation coming, and then added to that was now the issue of ethnic leaders, or almost trying to ethnicize the election in Edo State. It was a dangerous thing.
It was.
And I should encourage.
It was every religious dimension.
Yeah,
it's
because,
also, yeah.
You know, and thank God it did not go as those main actors wanted it to be. Because the beauty of what we eventually saw was that the religious group, today you will open your television and you hear that these people have endorsed boom, boom, boom. The next thing, next week, you will see the same religious people,
yes,
another, whether that is a fashion,
yes,
will endorse another. Then when it came to the ethnic, that is the major ethnic blocks,
yes, the traditional rulers, some of them
also created.
Yes,
these were dangerous things. But all is well that ends well.
Could it be that people just wanted to take a position in this election and be identified with that position? Because a whole lot happened in this election which is not the norm, in the sense that in time past we find people, even in the civil society movement, we know how they respond, where they belong. Even if they have some biases, they can keep that to themselves. But they were willing to come all out and say, look, this is where I belong. So what is that factor?
Conviction. I think it was part of it. And then it was also a matter of deciding moment as to this is the way I want to go. And I must there is praise there for coming out that way. And for us, because of the social media thing, there were people, as the things were going on, this is the man. No matter what you say and all, they will not
budge.
But you know that there is nothing inherently wrong with that.
Yeah.
What becomes wrong is when you now become violent extremists are not in your position. Because like we are saying, there's nothing wrong if I were to say, for example, in the United States, this family is Republican. It's no. The father, the mother, everybody is no. You have an idea, you know the party you belong to. Once in a while, you can come out and say, I don't agree with this candidate. And you now move away from it. So there's nothing inherently wrong with it. What we are saying is, let it be done moderately, respect the views of others, and also allow the thing to play out.
All right, thank you very much. If you just join us, it's the EDO Decide live studio of independent television in Benin. Just looking at all the transpired today in the conduct of Edo State governorship election as we speak. Collation of results already going on at the collation centers. Earlier today we had an interaction via Zoom with Best Bureau, who is at the Oredo Collation Center at the Obakenzo Cultural Center. Several others in different places in the state, just to help us follow up the collation of the election result, which of course we'll be bringing to you. We've been talking with Professor Eddie Erad. I like to call him the global professor, you know what I mean? But Prof, let's just look at something that happened today. I think it was in Owan East. We saw the situation where the distribution of materials were a little bit stalled because, according to them, no provisions were made for transportation. And then we heard, I don't know who the officer was that was saying that the ad hoc staff could use motorbikes to pick their materials.
And they'll pay them later.
And they'll pay that kind of a thing. Then, in some other places, there was a protest, you know, by this ad hoc staff, unwilling to go to where they're supposed to conduct election. And the reason was that their stipends were not paid.
Yes.
I later got to understand that there are some stipends they're supposed to give to them. Okay, there's a stipend they are supposed to give to them for them to, you know, make calls or maybe take lunch and all of that while they await the payment of the full stipends or the bigger stipends when all is done. It looks like that wasn't the case, and that was the reason why that incident took place today. But we'll be taking all of this in when we return after this short break on our live studios on EDO 2020 governorship election. Just to help you make sense of all that transpired today, we're looking at critical aspect of the conduct of the election, the turnout and the peaceful nature, which of course has been adjudged to be so. And then of course, the challenge of vote buying. We talked about that. And then the most interesting part of it was the seeming disregard for the COVID-19 protocols, which is something that is part of the guidelines put together by INEC for the conduct of the election. Well, number one, you can't cast your vote without putting on a face mask. But it turned out that many people actually went to those voting centers without wearing face masks, and eventually they did vote. Yeah, they voted, and the results, the coalition has taken place. The results have been announced at the respective polling unit. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with you in a moment, but it looks like I have Best Mbere, you know, ready to give us another update on EDO 2020 governorship election with the monitoring of the collation of results. We've got Best now. Best, thank you again for joining us on this live studio. What's the update this time, and where exactly are you?
Okay, right now I'm at Egosa Grammar School in Ego local government area, pardon me. This is actually the collation center for the entire 10 wards of Ego local government. And very quickly, you're going to be seeing the officers, INEC officers, who are actually collating the result at the moment. Our security men are equally on the ground. I'm actually trying to get through to them.
Okay. Okay. Just,
okay.
Yeah, I like some time. Okay. Yeah.
Now, security men are equally on the ground. INEC officials, they're here. Our party agents are equally here. We've been told that the results for units Ward 2, Ward 4, Ward 7, Ward 9, and so far been announced. And then they left with 6 wards of the 10 wards. Abalaj is very peaceful. Domestic observers are equally here. And something very funny, I saw some persons already, they brought in their mats, which means that they're ready to pass the night here at the very center.
Yeah.
Agents of the People's Democratic Party, agents of the All Progressives Congress, they are all on the ground to see the final outcome of the exercise, which began 8:30 this morning. So that's what we are. Of course, you know that a while ago I was with you in studio when I went to Orejo. The same exercise is also going on.
I'm really thrilled by the fact that where you are right now, Egosa Grammar School is well lit. Is well lit.
Yes.
Is this also reflected outside?
Very well, yes. Very close to the place by the entrance. Why I was even able to gain access in here outside the nature of the place is because of my tag, and I am an accredited reporter.
Yeah.
And so I was asked to come in. So what I mean is the situation outside is calm because security men are there in and outside this premises, so everything is secured.
Best Mary, thank you again. We hope to be able to get more updates from you before we call it a wrap in the next few minutes on this live studio. Yes, in the next 15 minutes, we hope to bring the last session of our live studio to a close. We hope you're able to bring us another update before we do that. Thank you so much, Best.
Thank you.
Okay, Best Mary there from Egosa Grammar School Collation Center. The situation is not any different from what we saw at the Oredo Collation Center at the Obakenzo Cultural Center, and the heavy presence of security. And then some have even come with mats and mattresses
to watch and be there.
Just to be there. And that's one of the most tortuous parts of our electoral process that really breaks my heart. I mean, the election is conducted at the units. Results are announced, right? Can't we just have a way to transmit this result to the collation center? We have
that is the direction we are going by way of electoral.
Yeah, so let me get you in. Let me get you into that.
Yeah, just just before that, you asked about what played out in Oman.
Yes. Okay, yeah.
Some of all
yes.
those,
stipends were not paid.
I mean,
materials were not delayed and all of that.
I think that the professor himself, the chairman of INEC, because from what was played out today, he was responding to
as the issues were
unfolding. When the governor went to vote and the card readers were not functioning well, within a short time there was intervention from what we heard.
Okay.
And to that extent, this kind of embarrassment to the INEC, I am calling on Jega, and incidentally, he's a professor I know very well.
Jega Mahmoud.
Mahmoud, sorry. Mahmoud, thank you, my brother.
Yeah.
That we worked closely together at the National Confab. He was head of administration there.
Okay.
And then Festus Okoye, also close friend. And for them to look into that. Okay. Because like Professor Sadolo was saying earlier today, there are certain things that shouldn't be happening now. That is smearing the name and the image of Nigeria. In this state, for example, we have almost banned the use of bikes and all within the city.
Of course.
So to now be recommending it as a way to solve the problem, why was it that other LGAs were paid their stipends and this particular area they were not paid? You must look into it, and it should serve as a deterrent to others. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, I think one of our panelists earlier today, senior program officer with Center for Democracy and Development, said something quite striking, that sometimes you find individuals who are stalling this process unknown to the authorities in charge, except that when you have this kind of reaction, that's when it gets the attention of the authorities in charge. He said something like, you give a card reader to an election officer, he gets to the polling unit and decides not to use it. He gives the excuse that the thing is not working. because he has already been compromised, you know. So you have this thing sometimes play out. Yeah.
No, my take on it now is that the way the world is going, those isolations in terms of conduct can no longer be condoned. Because we are here now. Best in Mary is there.
Yeah, live.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, live.
So is that the way the world is going now, situation room, when you are calling for that, numbers were released during this period that you could call. So once a number, somebody is doing anything wrong, you can beam your searchlight, and not just when the thing is on, even post. Such people should be called to account. Because what I'm saying is that it's a major damaging thing as far as the image of INEC is concerned, for all they have done. Because it's that if you go back, when we started some 20 years ago analyzing these matters, it was like, oh, materials have not arrived. 12 midday, things are still waiting. Others are returning, elections are over.
Yeah.
But look at, there is almost great improvement now. That today, in most of the locations, by about 8:30, 9 o'clock, these things were available. So, and that is the way we should go. And so to that extent, therefore, because the other point you were raising, 21st century, digital, things moving, why should we now still be using witchcraft in some of the things that we think we want to do? Whereas these things, technology has provided for them. It is that if they see through, just like Professor Mahmoud was talking about, this INEC portal is the first major step towards report your results. Send them in. People no longer have to be carrying papers, carrying everything up and down, in quote, using local parlance, up and down. But the point is that we must still be careful in monitoring them. So how do we progress in these matters? Let's take them step by step. For this kind of experimentation, Edo elections, great opportunity. The Ondo, another opportunity. Anambra State, another opportunity. You can use them to test run some of the things that you want to do. And one major thing that Nigerians should start clamoring for from Edo election now is that last year, when we were to have our elections, general elections, there were electoral reforms that had been put into a law that was to come into place, that was transmitted to Mr. President to approve. The excuse was that it was too close
to the election.
To the elections, and that thing was never assented to by Mr. President. Why can't we look at what has been happening so far and start trying to adjust and get it right? Because there is a major point that is still of concern to us today, which is that how can it still be that from the elections of opposition, where here and all, people will be bold enough, you go and carry electoral boxes and things, and at the end of the day, nothing happens to you. It shouldn't be. And why is it like that? It's because in any system where there are infractions and there is no punishment, it encourages others to follow.
Like a culture of impunity.
Impunity now becomes the order of the day. But if people know that in these matters, these things can happen, they can mellow down. And that is where, back to the security matters we say, their presence is important. They are being objective.
It's even more important.
It's even more important. Because in a situation where you know that there's no nonsense. I was around somewhere today. I've always learned to maintain and respect myself. Anywhere they say you cannot enter without appropriate certification or permission, I don't go there if I don't have it. Because you could just become one crazy person in quote. We want to use you to shine in local parlance. So I respect myself. So if I know, for example, that look, in this collation center, I have no business being there. And you see the people, and the people are ready to make sure that if you have no business, you don't come in there. Then you can protect the system. But where there are exceptions, and then people feel they are above the system, then of course others will also challenge it. So these elections today, I was privileged to be part of it by way of voting. It was so smooth. My daughter, the medical doctor, was with me.
You're still into the live studio of independent television and radio for the coverage of Edo 2020 governorship election. Of course, the voting is over, and now the stage is the collation of results. Earlier, we brought you up to speed with the live feed from Best Bureau from Oredo Collation Center, and then, of course, we also had another one at the Osaka School. But we're waiting for her now to take us to the Kobaha Collation Center. Any moment from now, she'll be joining us live again just to give us an update on what's happening at the Kobaha Collation Center. Yes, Prof. Yeah. I'm looking forward to all of these innovations come into fruition as it relates to the conduct of election, because I don't see any reason why people will have to mount guard at the collation center overnight, and sometimes they have to sleep. When they don't sleep, they just have to be awake, because any slight moment of losing focus or attention, you may just pay the price of certain things happening without you knowing why you were sleeping and probably snoring, and then you're wondering, how did we get here? It makes it's part of the very expensive nature of our political process, which, I mean, some have also said it's not the ideal. One of our panelists was saying earlier today that even in Mali, you find someone who is in the market on election day, leaves his shop, comes quickly, casts his vote or her vote, he goes back. The electoral official wants to transport his materials to the next voting center, he gets a bike, branded bike, places them on it, he drives them. There's no fear of somebody going somewhere to waylay them and then take to. So I'm hoping that all of these will come into fruition, but the key is to have the right laws in place. That is why the Electoral Act or so that was to come into reality during the last election, you know, it was really a great challenge that it didn't come. But let me see if I can reconnect with Best Bureau now, so we can have an insight into the situation at Ikobaha local government. Best Bureau is joining us live from Ikobaha local government. We're just trying to see how we can strengthen the system's connection enough for us to be able to talk to Best Bureau. Hello, Best. I can see you. I know you can see me. So how are you doing?
Yes.
That was really quick. That was really quick. How did you do it? Did you use a chopper or you use a private jet? I'd like to know, how did you do it?
I have a private jet that uses fuel. But don't worry, we're right now at Western Boys High School.
Okay.
This is the collation center for Ikoboha local government. I can tell you that, like in other places we've visited, INEC officials are on the ground, security personnel on the ground. Security is actually very, very, very tight here. What you are seeing here now, I mean, the place is not properly lit, particularly outside the hall, but inside the hall is very okay. Agents of different political parties, yes, they are waiting patiently. They are here to ensure that the proper thing is done. We've been told that the results from Ward 2, 3 and 7, they've all arrived. And don't forget that the local government is similar to a local government area. They equally have 10 wards in all together. So right now, collation is ongoing of the various wards in the local government.
Best, thank you very much. I hope they can do something about the illumination outside, which of course you talked about, because that's also a challenge, particularly ensuring that the place is secure. But I'm sure that all those who are supposed to be in that collation center, they are there, the security agents, electoral officials, and of course the party agents.
Well, yes, they are here, but I don't think there is any cause for worry, if you ask me, because most of these persons who are coming in from their various wards already have an idea of what the result is.
Okay.
And so they don't see any reason why they should be afraid at this time.
All right, Bessie, thank you very much. We appreciate you again.
Thank you, Sonny.
Okay.
Good night.
Okay. Thank you so much. Well, that's also, I mean, those are the metropolitan local government area, Ego, Ikobaha, and Oredo, and collation is already going on. And again, the fact that the party agents, they're already aware of the results that came from the units. So that seems to, that should also make them to be at peace in a sense. Or what do you think?
Well, maybe another issue for another day, by way of discussion. And that is that so far, we must appreciate the good elections we've had.
Yeah.
The hope is that what the people have said today with their ballots is what we stand. Why am I saying that? Because as we are talking of stages in this whole election,
Yeah.
campaigns, voting, counting at different levels,
Yeah.
announcement of results, and post-announcement actions. Because this is a country where in not too long ago, results of this nature, results that have been celebrated, victories that have been celebrated, later, a number 4 becomes a number 1. These are critical issues that the Electoral Act and things we are saying must look at. Because when people have mobilized, people have spoken through the ballot, and it's not that they have been invalidated,
Yeah.
such votes and all, but due to technicalities and other things, eventually such results don't stand. It's a major threat to people's confidence in our democratic system.
Yeah.
So, why am I saying is that it's not over
Until it's over. So far, so
So there is need for greater vigilance in all of this. And for all of this also, it's important that people should take account and record of what is transpiring. Because eventually, all of this may become necessary in the days ahead. So, for my dear people of Edo State, almost speaking like a politician, it is that this is a great day of joy for us.
Yeah.
The elements also cooperated with Edo people. Just last night, the downpour was like nobody can move today. But behold, from morning till about 2:45, when it was the election should be over, the place was bright and all of it. And we have been able to conduct, the elections have taken place, results are now being collated, and the results are almost already out. They're almost already out. Because if, from what INEC was saying, this thing should be transmitted in their portal, and is there, the agents have their results and all. It's like, all we are trying to do now is summarize the things they are bringing from the field. That's what Iberi was saying.
Yeah, at the collation center.
At the collation center.
Yes.
So I'm sure that even before this final thing, before announcements are made, all we might be doing is to wait for official announcement.
Absolutely.
Because people would have also been doing their
own calculations
and all of that together. But let people know, nobody
has the right
to announce any results.
Yes, yes.
If those people have done well, we can do better, and we must commend INEC for what they have done, security operatives for what they have done, the political parties for what they have done, the electorate for also coming out for what they have done. And of course, we must thank God Almighty for his blessings on what has happened.
Absolutely. Prof, thank you so much. What a beautiful way to call it a wrap on our live studios for Edo 2020 governorship election for today. By tomorrow, we'll be back here by 8 o'clock to continue with our discussion. But we also have a crew in the studio that will be monitoring the situation just in case between now and tomorrow morning, INEC decides to announce the result or declare the result, so we can help you, keep you up to speed with that. But I want to say big thanks to all our crew members. It's been a very tortuous journey for us. You know what I mean? To be here from 6 a.m. up to this time, and in all the days that has been leading to the election, I mean, it's not been an easy task, but we are very grateful to God and delighted to have the opportunity to also contribute our quota to the development of Edo State. So far, so good. We keep our fingers crossed and wait for the final declaration of the result by the Independent National Electoral Commission, the agency of government backed by Constitution to announce and declare results for any election. So whatever you're hearing, whatever you're seeing, as far as we are concerned, is fake until INEC says so. So thank you very, very much for staying with us, Prof. Again, we appreciate. It's always a delight to have you here. Thank
My pleasure.
So
Thank
it's
you
like
so
you are in the classroom and you're just giving us this thing from all sides. Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
All right, have a beautiful evening and good night.